tuning in. This is Off the Bottom, coming with another video review. And on today's episode, we're going to be taking a look at the new Hot Toys MMS 482 of the Iron Spider from Avengers Infinity War. For the package, much like all of the new Infinity War figures, you get a really nice image of the Iron Spider there in the front, and then you can see blended into it is the Avengers A logo. It's actually a little bit tricky to see, but you can kind of see the A going up there. It comes across. You got the little circle right there. Then when you come to the side, you can see that it wraps around. There's the rest of his hand, and then it says Iron Spider, and then you got the Infinity Gauntlet there on that side. Down here, you have this nice little foil Avengers A logo. Opposite side, you can see it wraps around it again, and you got his leg. With a little, I didn't even notice that before, a little Spider-Man logo there. Come around to the back of the package, it wraps around even further with his little mechanical spider leg. And then you got the various warnings and contact information for Hot Toys. And then it does slide up, which, let's see if I can do it. You got this little cut inside the outer sleeve that comes up, and it kind of makes it a little bit uneven when you take it off, so instead of sitting there, it's going to fall. But the back of the package, you have the cast and crew responsible for making the figure. You got that Avengers A logo there, you got the Spider-Man logo right there, Spider-Man logo right there, and then you come around to the front, and you have an open window that fully showcases the figure, as well as some of his accessories. But for the packaging on this guy, that's about it. So without further ado, let's get him out here and see how cool he actually is. Alright guys, so here we have the Iron Spider open up and out of his packaging. And starting off first, as usual, with his accessories, he does come with a pretty decent amount. What I will say though is that they're very underwhelming. A lot of the stuff that we're getting here is pretty much reused from that previous Homecoming Spider-Man. So in addition to the two fisted hands that are currently on him, he gets a lot of other ones. You get a pair of hands here that are designed to hold his different webbing accessories, which we'll take a look at. You can see you got a little bit of a slot and a hole inside there that you can kind of thread those little webs through and make it look like he's holding them. Really nice detail on these. I'm going to show the other ones, but really very cool looking. You can see a very nice metallic reflective paint on there, which does, for the most part, nicely go along with that look that was created in Infinity War. You can see the underside here has that little, almost looks like the Iron Man repulsor, but that's the little push button thing to get the web to kind of shoot. So you do get those. You do get a pair of hands that are done in the thwip kind of pose, where you can see that the two middle fingers are coming in and they're tapping that little button, and probably going to make like stuff come shooting out. But again, real great detail in there. Nice metallic paint. Basically what you would expect from Spider-Man. You also do get a pair of hands that are designed to kind of look like he's climbing up a wall or something, or a dynamic pose where he's going to be crouched down or something like that. So again, terrific amount of detail. You can see that little push button section on his palm a little bit better here. You got a nice silver paint on that, which does look really very nice. You also do get a pair of just open gesturing hands, and you can see that real nice painted detail throughout there, just sculpted in this more dynamic sort of look. And then he also does come with a pair of right and left kind of clutching looking hands. They're a little bit more relaxed, but you can see that the pinky kind of comes around and gives it a bit of a clutching kind of look. So a lot of really nice hands that you can get some really cool poses with. In theory, we'll get to that here in a bit. You do also get a pair of extra wrist pegs in case anything happens. And taking a look at the webbing first, you do get this little section here that's like acting as if it's kind of anchored to a wall or something like that. So you do get that little funnel-shaped web accessory. You do get one that kind of threads through his hand, like I could kind of show you. Here, you just kind of sort of tuck it through there as if he just went and then is just holding on to it. It's a little bit difficult to see because it's clear. So you do get that, and then you do get several other ones here. again, I talked about this. A lot of the stuff is reused, so you're not going to get a ton of new stuff here. You get a straight one. You get two additional straight ones, and then you get two shorter ones that can attach to the little gauntlets there, and you got that little locking section right here, and then you got a big giant booger looking thing that comes out there. Overall, real nice detail on these as well. Coming in, you can kind of see that it does look like there's some slight silver paint around some of the edges, just giving it a nice metallic sort of look to it, which maybe if it's on there, it might look a little bit better, but you can kind of see some highlights around some of the threading, which does give a nice coloration to it. And then, like I said, you can use that. Well, actually, can you? I don't even think maybe there's not even a hole here. I'm trying to see. I don't think there's a hole on these. Doesn't appear that there's a hole. So you can't even fucking use that. Oh, come on, Hot Toys. This is definitely a figure that has gotten some controversy. When we first saw this suit in Homecoming, people were super excited about the prospect of getting the Iron Spider. And then finally in Infinity War, we got to see Peter wearing it. So there was a huge amount of hype for this. The figure, though, is kind of turning out to be a bit of a letdown. So you get this reused part here. You also do get these different eye pieces. You can see slightly more squinted, slightly even more squinted, and pretty much super squinted. These are all, again, reused from the previous version, which kind of sucks. And, well, let's see, that's new. So what you do for that, the head here is magnetically attached. You just kind of move these off to the side. It's a little bit tricky to kind of do, but you just kind of use your fingernail, kind of pull that away like so, and you got a magnet, and then you put that in there like that. You can change the diameter of his eye, which is something that was the exact same in the previous one. So again, you take out that, and you can have him winking at you. I mean, it's cool that they include that, but again, anything that we haven't gotten before. So I feel like they're kind of just being a little bit chintzy with things and not really pushing the envelope like they're used to. These don't like coming out very easily. I mean, you can hear my little baby fingernails kind of trying to pull those out. I'll fiddle with that here in a bit. But you do have that. It is magnetically attached, so it is a little bit different than what it was before. I think the other one actually just pegged down there. I don't honestly remember. Most of you know that my collections are designed. What did I just... That just like really pushed in there. I'm not very happy with that sound that it made. I'm trying to see here. And I got a little, it actually came with this. It's a little tool. I don't think it's going to help that much. But did you hear that noise? That kind of makes me nervous, honestly. But these are a giant pain in the arse to kind of get out. Why can't they give us something to really utilize with this? I mean, because as it is, it doesn't work very well at all. Wow. All right, well, this sucks. The eye section on this side, like, broke, I guess. I don't even know. There's like a magnet inside there. So that's shitty. Way to go, Hot Toys. So a figure that was already not really doing it for me just got a lot worse. All right, so there's that. So you get that head. Luckily, I get other heads with it. We do get a new head with him. Hopefully, this one doesn't break. But this, actually, I mean, you can kind of see... Stupid magnet piece. Same basic color on it. It looks almost identical. This, though, you can see does have a much more open eye look, which is very similar to what we have, or what we had on the original figure. The difference, though, is this actually lights up. So let's bring in the little tool. The magnet section is a giant pain in the butt because the whole head is kind of like magnetic, and that's how it attaches to the neck. So when you're trying to put the batteries in there, which are like that big, they kind of move around a lot. But the light is really nice and bright, and you can see gorgeous looking detail in there. I want to come in as close as I possibly can. That's pretty darn good. I don't know if you can see, it's probably a little bit too bright, an amazing amount of texture on the inside there. Let me see. Oh yeah, you can totally see it. Thank you, 4K camera. But his eyes have this nice texture effect, which looks absolutely incredible. I love that detail. That is not something that is on the regular eyes. These just kind of have like a little pearlescent sort of look to it. These eyes, million times better looking. But looking at it, it kind of does look like the color is a little bit different on it. The one with the light up looks a little bit more dulled down a little, doesn't it? So that's interesting of sorts, but I love that. That is cool, and it sits. You'll see it later on, but it sits nicely on his head. You also do get a Peter Parker sculpt. This is just a reuse of what we got, both in the Homecoming as well as the homemade suit version. I don't think the other one had a magnet in it again. I don't remember. But the thing that kind of stinks about this is while the sculpt and the likeness is spot on, the way that his hair is, it's different. In Infinity War, his hair was much longer. I remember seeing an interview with Tom Holland where he said that he was working on another movie and his hair was longer in it, and he was worried that he was going to have to get his hair cut to also do work in Infinity War. But they wrote it into the Infinity War story. So his hair, I mean, while it does look pretty long here, it was noticeably longer in Infinity War. Again, this is Hot Toys kind of cutting corners, like the eyes are now just facing forward, but this is a reused sculpt. It's not battle damage or anything. It's a clean look. I do like that the eyes are looking forward as opposed to looking off to the side, but again, I mean, I feel like they could have re-sculpted it, not so much here in the face, just the hair. I feel like they're like, oh, well, you know what, he looks the same basically, we just go with it. It's still an amazing likeness, just not accurate to how he looked in the movie, which is problematic when you're paying this much money. Then this accessory. Now, this is stupid. I'm just going to say it. This is a complete cop-out on their part. As you can see, it is basically a reuse of sorts of the mask that came with, again, the Homecoming version. They did change it. You can see you got a nice metallic paint on here. Problem is, though, he never used this. This was never a thing. He did pull his mask off, but that was when he was wearing the regular suit. When he did the full-on Iron Spider, it was that nanotech stuff. This was never there. This is completely pointless to include. Totally either should have saved this and not given it to us or given us something else. I don't know. But it's kind of annoying that they just decided to skimp out and give us an accessory that doesn't even make sense for this. Because like I said, the suit was a nanotech suit. So it wrapped around him and just formed kind of like the Mark 50 for Iron Man. This is dumb. Now, the big new addition are the spider legs. These are really cool. How they integrate with the figure kind of sucks, but these look great. Amazing amount of detail on here. You can see some really nice gold paint on there. You got some blue accents throughout there. I like how the different rivet sections are also painted blue. Well, the hinged area, you got the little blue paint right there as well. But absolutely gorgeous. Several different points of articulation. You have one right here. As you can hear, those are ratchet joints, which is nice. You got another ratchet joint right there. Another one right there, and then another one at the base. And then obviously when you plug it into his back, you'll be able to rotate it. Each one is specific in where it goes. You can tell by the different shape of the base section right there. You can see that this one has a little bit of a kind of point to it, whereas this one doesn't. It also does say on here, like, it's kind of hard to read. I want to say that that's left, right. This one is down, right. So, I mean, they fit into a specific spot. And you can tell when you come around here to the back of them, you've got little plug-in sections right here that you can totally see where they're meant to go. So you can line up the shape of this with the shape of the base here and know which section goes where. So you can put that there. This one, I want to say, goes like over here. So I'll show you how to do that here in a bit. But you do get, obviously, the 4 additional arms. They're just made out of plastic, but these are really nice. And then finally, for his accessories, he does come with the display stand. You got that nice Avengers Infinity War logo. You can see you got a little bit of a glossiness to the text itself. Really cool reflective paint that's on there that really nicely makes the A and circle kind of stand out. That looks really cool. Again, just as Iron Spider, it's this white paint kind of on the black. It's not what I personally like, but, you know, it is what it is. And then you have a dynamic stand. Obviously, it's good for Spider-Man to put him in some dynamic poses. You got the little adjustable waist grabbing thing right here. These just peg in, so why they couldn't give us just the regular stand to go up between his crotch, I have no idea, but it's what they do. So there's that. So for his accessories, that's it. This really kind of pisses me off. I don't even know how I'll be able to fix that, if I'll be able to fix that. At the end of the day, it probably doesn't matter that much because I have that head sculpt and I like that a little bit better because of the light up thing. I don't think I would be swapping out his eyes really anyhow. I like the eyes being big, and I keep dropping this son of a bitch. So there's that, but again, for his accessories, that's about it. Now, coming in to take a closer look at the figure, you're already kind of seeing something that is kind of problematic with this figure. In terms of trying to recreate a metal look for his suit, what they did was went with what I can only describe as like a vinyl sort of material, which in general, I guess, looks okay, but does pose a lot of other problems. Number one being, you can totally see that there is a difference in terms of the coloring between the plastic head and the body. You can totally see that. I mean, that actually looks a little bit darker, to be honest, but you can kind of see that looks good. But, and I mean, it's not really just the lighting. I mean, it's straight up in normal lighting, a lighter color than the actual head. That's definitely an issue that I don't like. I mean, it does look a little bit more extreme here in the lighting, but I can guarantee you that in hand, there is a noticeable difference. The rest of the suit primarily looks good, but there are issues. Coming around here to the back first, I don't like that. This is where the claws are going to go, or the little, maybe it's not this one, the spider arms are going to go. You just take these, and it's tough to do because they peg in there, but you just remove that, puts a hole right there, first of all, and then you take this and you just plug that in, which, as it is like that, it looks fine. But if you don't have these in there, these sticking out, I think, look ugly. I feel like they could have done a better job with that. And then when you have these in there, it kind of creates like a lining problem. You have to make sure that everything is lined up properly, but you can kind of see that it's not entirely perfect. Like this one here, definitely doesn't look like it's lined up proper, and then it kind of sticks out in some areas. So it's not bad, and when you look at it just like that, it kind of blends in. But I totally feel like they could have done this in a much different way. I don't like how that looks. The rest of the body, though, again, looks-wise, it's pretty darn good. I can't really complain overall about the look too much. In terms of the overall functionality of the suit, though, that's definitely an issue. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about, I mentioned, how I put that down, that I didn't think that there was holes to put this in. This looks like it's covered up. I mean, it kind of looks like there's a hole there, but it doesn't fit in, so I can't really put that in. This one, though, does. And when you look at the instructions, it actually does just show this hand. So you can put that in there, and you can have the thwip thing coming out. I don't know why they didn't do it on here, or if it's just sloppy paint that's covering the hole. I don't know. But the biggest problem that I have with this suit is the material. While it looks pretty good for the most part, it does have a tendency to really wrinkle. Now, I see a lot of people that do reviews online, and they make comments about the suit, and they're like, oh, I'm going to put it in an extreme pose, and I'm going to leave it there for a day. And then, oh, look, I put it back, and it went back to normal. Yeah, because you left it only in that pose for like a day, guys. I mean, if you want any kind of real idea of what potential damage this suit can go through in terms of the wrinkling, you need to leave it there for a long time and then come back and see if it actually goes back to its original shape. I'm going to bet that it won't go back. If you leave this in its pose for a month, I'm almost going to bet you that it's not going to retain the same look that it did if it's just standing there. So it kind of stinks that you have all this posability in the figure and you can't really pose it. It's just going to stand there. For me, that's not that bad because all of my figures are usually in a museum pose, so I don't mind it all that much. But I know a lot of collectors out there do like posing their figures. So it's definitely something to be aware of. Coming back in, you can see great detail, though, with the look for the suit. You got little tiny bits right here that look like little arc reactors. I really like his new web shooter weapon thing. You can see that in terms of this, you have to kind of keep it slid down to cover in that gap between the wrist and the forearm. So make sure you do that. And then looking down at the rest of the body, good detail with the piping and everything. There's his butt. Great looking detail with the legs. You can kind of see some like texturing on the inside of his boots, which look really good. A little bit of gold detail and everything down here and the foot area. So overall, great looking suit, not very functional. And that leads into talking about his articulation, which, again, it's a very well articulated figure, just not able to pose it very well. The head, because it can just be magnetic, and I'm going to put in his head here because that's another thing that I kind of want to talk about. I don't like how this goes all the way up to like the base of his neck. That looks weird. And when you have this on, it really does kind of look like his head is oversized or his neck is too big or something. I mean, that sits down a little bit lower. I don't know why that looks better, but that looks strange on him. Yeah, I don't know. It's weird, but It is what it is. So the articulation is all here in the neck. You can see, you can kind of move it around however you want. The base here, though, I thought was articulated. I don't think it is. It doesn't really seem to move. So I don't think this section here is articulated. So you're just stuck with it kind of like that, which, the arms are on ratchet joints. You can kind of hear them. Going in and out is easy. Going forward and back, you do want to be careful because then again, it kind of stretches the suit. And I don't want to damage the suit because it's so kind of pretty. It could get easily damaged. It does feel like there's a butterfly joint in there. Does rotate at the upper part of the bicep. You got 2 bends here at the elbow. But again, you're going to stretch that out. And then when you bring it back, you can see just doing that kind of wrinkled it. Now it will slowly go back to its original shape if you kind of heat it up. Some people talk about using like a hair dryer or something, but you can see that kind of worked out. So it's not that bad, but leaving it in a pose for too long is going to be bad. I just know it. Rotation here at the wrist, you do got that little forward and back as well. Coming down here to the ab area, you do have an ab crunch. You got a rotation. It moves all over. The hips move forward and back again. The wrinkle it creates doesn't look good. I mean, I don't know what they could have done to recreate, that nanotech suit other than making like this figure, a die-cast one, like the Iron Man one is going to be. But I feel like the material here is just not very conducive for it. He does have ratchet joints here in the hips, which is really nice. You hear ratchets moving in and out, but again, you move that forward and you have a wrinkle right there that you can, again, heat up and rub out. So, you can rotate it at the thigh. It's all there. You got double joints here at the knee, which is nice. But again, you bring it back, wrinkled. It slowly works its way out, but it could be problematic in the future. You come down to the ankles, nice range of motion. They feel like they twist a little bit. They move forward and back, and then you do have a toe which nicely articulates and actually holds a position pretty good. Now, like with these arms, again, like I said, you just gotta find the right one. This one, the bottom, I mean, like they're all shaped properly, but you have to make sure, like I said, you put the right one in the right spot. And this says UL, so I'm guessing upper left. So again, just pop that out, put this in there. This one obviously is going to be upper right. So again, take that. This is the real look that I think people are going to go for with this guy. The Iron Spider is a fun character, and when you have it like this, I mean, you can get some really cool looking poses with them. It's not as super articulated as I would like it to be, but you're not going to have him kind of sitting there where these legs are standing him up or anything, but that is a cool look for it. Whether or not I'm going to display it like that, I don't really know. It's personal preference, I guess, but as it is, I mean, the Iron Spider is not a version of Spider-Man that I'm super thrilled about. Many of you know that in my Hot Toys collections, I tend to keep the most relevant looking version of a character. So that's why I got this guy. He definitely looks cool. He definitely looks cool, but I did sell the Homecoming version, and I'm kind of regretting that because ultimately I think the Homecoming version is how I'm going to want Spider-Man in my collection. This looks good, and it'll work for now. I have seen the Far From Home version. I don't particularly like the darkness of the blue in that suit. So I do think that I'm going to go back and try getting that Homecoming one, which is going to stink because that thing can easily go for $400 right now. But I feel like with this guy, you're not really getting your money's worth. I feel like the reuse of so many parts makes him difficult to really kind of justify the price of them. Combined with the fact that, you know, the one head broke. I don't like what they did with the suit. It's more than likely just gonna have to be displayed like this. If you're a poser, you're gonna have a hard time posing this guy because this figure in any pose for any real length of time is going to ruin the suit. I don't like what they did with these little pegs here. It kind of makes it where you have to put these in so that it doesn't look bad. I mean, yeah, okay, you know, we don't look at the back of our figures. I get it. But again, when you're paying this much money, the whole package needs to be good. We get a nice Peter Parker, Tom Holland head sculpt. It's not entirely accurate, mostly in terms of the hair. Like, the face is fine. It's the hair. It doesn't look like how it looked in Infinity War. The stupid accessory of the unmasked mask just floating there that you can have him hold is a dumb accessory because when he was wearing that suit, his mask never detached like that. I mean, there's just so much that's not good about this figure that I feel like a lot of people are just kind of glossing over for whatever reason. It's almost like Hot Toys can do no wrong. And that's unfortunate because while, yeah, they do some terrific figures and most of the time they nail it, occasionally they do kind of just phone it in, and I feel that's what they did with this. Now, don't get me wrong. The look is really very cool. They did a nice job of recreating how the suit kind of looks. My problem that I have with it is a lot of the decisions that they made. Number one, I don't like the material that they used for the suit. As you can see, I have him in a dynamic pose, but he is only going to be in this for as long as this camera is recording. After that, I'm getting this guy out of this pose and I'm going to leave these lights on because it gets a little bit warm here and I want the suit to go back to normal. You can't really pull off a pose like this for any length of time. Sure, some people have put him in poses and left him there for a couple days, maybe a week, but when you have him in this pose for a month, 2 months, whatever the case may be, it's going to permanently damage this suit. I have no doubt in my mind about that. And the majority of collectors, I feel, put their figure in a pose and they leave it there. They don't constantly keep going back to the figure and playing with it. You do when you first get it because it's new and it's like, hey, how exciting. But beyond that, I don't think a lot of people keep going and reposing and playing with their figures. It's a long time between reposes and things of that nature. I don't like what they did with the back. In incorporating these arms and everything, I think it's really cool. But these weird little peg things stick out too far. And it doesn't look good, I don't think. I feel like that is kind of an eyesore and wasn't really thought through too well. In terms of like QC kind of stuff, I don't know why I can put the little web booger in one thing and not the other. When you look at the instructions, and I'm gonna bring this in and show it to you, they go through his articulation. They show it attaching to his left arm. Although they do show, like, that's his right arm, it looks like. But they show it attaching to his left one, which would be this. That's the one that I can get the web booger in. I can't get it in there. I don't know if it's, again, like I said, the paint is maybe too thick, but I don't know. I feel like that's kind of lame. The accessories, I'm not really overly impressed with. You know, obviously we get a whole bunch of hands. That's fine. You get the webs, which that's fine as well. I have no problem with the light up head, barring the fact that I basically broke the one with the swap out eyes. That works. I mean, I don't mind it. I'm a little bit disappointed in the straight up reuse of the Peter Parker, Tom Holland sculpt. Again, the face is amazing. That absolutely looks like him. The hair could be a little bit better in terms of accuracy to how he looked in Infinity War. I know that might sound like I'm nitpicking, but, you know, this guy took a while to come out, and I really don't know why, to be honest. You know, I feel like the coloration between the red on the suit and then the red that's on the actual masked heads, it doesn't match very well, and it definitely throws me off. And I also really hate that stupid loose mask accessory that you're supposed to kind of like display with this, like when he takes the mask off, except he never just pulled it off and carried it. It was part of that nanotech suit where it just would basically disappear. So I feel like a lot of the accessories are really kind of lame with this. It's a good figure, but I feel, as I said, that this figure was just phoned home. I don't get a huge sense of satisfaction picking this up, especially since we don't know how much longer he's actually going to be wearing this. I mean, we've seen the new suit that he wears in Far From Home, and it looks a lot like the one that he wore in Homecoming, just a darker red. So I feel like this is a one-shot type of thing, and it's going to be one of those figures where it's going in my collection because this is how he looks now. But when it comes time to replace him with that Far From Home version, I'm going to be happy to remove this guy from my Detolf. So the only real way that I can recommend this is if you are a huge Spider-Man fan and don't mind having multiple looking Spider-Man suits. I just am very underwhelmed with this release. But all that being said, if for whatever reason this is a figure that you'd like to add to your collection, good luck, because he's basically sold out. You can check places online such as Big Bad Toy Store. For that, I'll put a link down in the video description. You can check out all the pre-orders and things of that nature for Hot Toys. But finding this guy right now is a little bit tricky. As I said, he's pretty much sold out at a lot of places, which I guess in hindsight, maybe I'm kind of the odd one out in not really liking this, because a lot of people seem to, and the reviews that I've seen all really seem to like the guy. I'm just underwhelmed. But beyond that, guys, that's about it. Remember, if you like this video, I would really appreciate your support simply by hitting that thumbs up button. That one small little gesture really does go a long way towards helping me out, and I would really appreciate it. And a huge thank you if you made it all the way to the end of this review. Another way that you can really help support my channel is making sure that you watch a video all the way through. And if you did that, thank you. Also, I want to send a huge shout out to all of my patrons who, through their continued support, now more than ever, help to make reviews like this possible. And finally, remember that the real trouble with the world is that too many people grow up. Thank you for watching and taking the time to be a kid.